Good morning. This is part two of the feedback for your writing, your research-based report, writing assignment number 4. So if we take a look at the overview of methodology area, that is really just what you're going to tell those decision makers who would be reading your research-based report, what did you do and in what order. And so number 1, collected data from from secondary sources, scholarly articles, to you want to say, like, first I did some secondary research. I found out that I learned a lot about the impact or implications of nursing staff shortages in the ED in general across the country. Second, I did some primary research. That research included interviewing ED nurses and surveying nurses in the department with a host of varying ranges of experience. And then finally, utilize the secondary and primary research to determine best methods of recommendations. So the overview of methodology is just you're sharing, what did I do? I researched, and then I interviewed, and then I utilized that information. I synthesized that information to come up with some recommendations. In your research methods, I noticed that you put primary research first. I recommend putting secondary first. That's because that's the first thing that you did. The secondary research is when you went to the library or you utilized the UMUC online library and collected all of that data. Your primary research, although primary means first and secondary means second, I realize that seems like a logical flow, but secondary is what you did first. First, I looked up and I researched, what kind of problem are we talking about nationwide? And then I went and looked into my own area. What kind of problem how is this seen in where I work? So if you flip these two in terms of your methods, you using a host of peer-reviewed articles, or a collection of peer-reviewed articles was used. A collection it's one, used to explore high workload and staff shortages. High workloads have been identified in surveys and interviews with ED staff. That's not part of it. You want to make sure that you have this separate. So your secondary research, that is only about what you collected from scholarly journals and peer-reviewed articles. So these staff interviews are not secondary. Those are primary. Primary research is what you did. So in this qualitative study, 6 nurses were interviewed with experience ranging from 3 to 15 years. You need to spell out 6, and 3 to 15 you can keep, but spelling out 6 is the number. When you talk about years, you can use the number. Each participant interview lasted about 20 minutes long. The questions were subjective and centered on how they felt patient safety was compromised. Recommendations, they were asked to offer recommendations about their job. So you want to just give a general overview. And if you have the questions, attach those at the end. So then here we have, I have to pull this way. After, you should set up your secondary research, then your primary research. Then after that, you want to have your results. You want to have your secondary research results first and your primary second. So the recurrence of shortages has been around, and that's what you do have here. You want to maybe title it secondary research or report. You have 3 sections: the organizational failure, the high workload, and the communication failure. In here, I don't see your primary research results. What was the data that you came up with? If you wanted to make a graph, if you wanted to do, however you wanted to display that, you need to provide and show your primary research, those interview questions that you have. What did it tell you? Because it's based on the secondary research and then your research that helps you to formulate your recommendations. So then your recommendations, you use evidence from your secondary research, good job, and evidence from your primary research to come up with an action plan. You want to detail and spell out your action plan. Maybe even use bullet points. First, we would do this. Second, we would do that. Third, we would do this. Remember, a research-based report is designed to address a problem and offer a step-by-step resolution. So I see a couple of areas missing in here. Let's just go to some technicalities. You want to make sure that you're using complete APA This could be my screen. Let me see if I can scritch the screen over. But right here, yes, I think it is my screen. It looks like APA. Let me pull this all the way over. There we go. That's much better. Your APA format, you want to make sure that you go back and double check that. You have some line breaks that should not be there. Oh, good. Interview questions here. You want to include this. Make sure you include all of this. Like, are these all of your questions? Okay, good. Good. Make sure you have this on a separate page. And then as I go through here, you want to double check all of your in-text citations. Go back to that APA. When you're citing, so according to William Briggs, you put the year and the page number at the end. The year does not go right next to it. So you want to follow that guideline. I will show you. Inside of our folder, I think it's in week 3 is where APA in-text citation is noted most. So you have a lot of work to do for the final draft, but I think you have enough started that you and a great solid body to work on. And I look forward to reading your final research-based report.